Unfortunately, I have a sad note, but I think it's right that I say this. We lost a very good friend and colleague who is David partner, Hildiksen's partner, Maria Pitordis. I've been knowing Maria. I heard from David day before yesterday evening, the dinner, gala dinner, this terrible news. And we didn't tell you because I think it would have been such a tragic and sad note that would not have gone. But now we are in the end of the legal session, and I think it's the best time. I always wanted, and we discussed many times at lunch in London, I said, Maria, come with David, and I'm sure she would have come one time if she could. Just if you want to say a couple of words to remember her, David.
Thank you very much.
From
Thank you very much, Francesco. As you were saying, or Clive was saying, we hadn't really prepared anything. And among the things I was certainly not prepared to speak to was Maria's tragic death on Tuesday afternoon, which I heard about just when I arrived at the dinner. As Francesco says, Maria would have been an absolute natural here. And one of the sad things one often finds with loss is you look at the things you didn't get around to doing. We spoke many times of Maria coming down here to deploy not only her great expertise on matters relating to personal injury and the cruise industry, but also infect us all with a wonderful sense of life, vitality, and professionalism. Speaking as a colleague of hers, I would just say this, and that is one of the nice things of working in a collegiate environment is that you can learn a lot from your colleagues. And from Maria, I learnt the importance of exceptionally hard work and also just how important it is to align yourself to your clients and understand their business, get to know them, become their friend, and really serve them in a very old-fashioned but wonderful way. And she was, without doubt, the best person I've seen at those things. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Clive, thank you. It was a brilliant session. Thank all of you. And now we pass to the last session. So I made the title. I'm quite proud of it. Better vessel for a better world. I don't know if it's a bit too ambitious and if it's really new, but I think it's a hope. And I'm sure that we'll have the session is articulated in two parts. There will be some presentation on particular topics, and will be introduced and chaired by Umberto D'Amato, is a very old friend of mine. He the shipowners managing director of Perseveranza, but is also a very extremely good naval architect. And Alberto Moroso is the president of Atena. I invite them to come on the stage, and is a very good naval architect too, and the president of the Italian Association of Naval Architecture. And Umberto and Alberto will introduce the panelists of their session. At the end of it, there will be a round table, so I hope we can be quite brief in the presentation. So, and this will be led by the CEO of RINA Services, Michele Francioni, and by a very innovative and I think very close to innovation and new technology for vessel, who is Valeria Novella, who has been president of the Young Shipowners before Andrea Garolla, and she is director of a company of tankers and in Genoa. After this, there will be a sort of Brings branch, and then the part of us who are going to Ischia will be picked up here by a bus. We should be at 2:30 out of here. I'll lead the group. We'll take a bus. I hope that everybody has got his luggage. The bus will go near the Miramare Hotel where some of the speakers are staying, and then directly to the Beverello. It takes, I think, less than 10 minutes to reach the Miramare and 5 minutes the Beverello at that time, but you never know. We have got the boat we are supposed to leave the Beverello for Ischia at 3:30. So if we leave from here at 2:30, there will be more than enough time for this. And then in Ischia, we will go to our hotels and be a bit more casual. And we have a dinner tonight prepared by the organization that my friend Salvatore Lauro arranged. Also, you know, we had a little earthquake on this island. I was there for one day. This was my holiday. And there was a lot of noise about it, but the situation is extremely beautiful. We'll find this island at a time that there is not too many tourists. So we will spend the night there. And then tomorrow I prepared a very exceptional meal at lunchtime before coming back to Naples in a sort of very beautiful and exceptional place, very casual. And this is the rest of the program. So I ask Umberto D'Amato and Alberto Moroso with the last session panelists to come on the stage. Or you want to be alone?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, okay, please sit down. Or you want to speak from the podium?
We speak first, we introduce the
sit down?
session.
Okay, you introduce the session. And when are the panelists coming afterwards? Because I think there are not enough seats for all of us. So,
we complete after presentation, we get off of the stage.
Okay.
Panelists will come. Thank you.
And when they come, I go. Okay?
Thank you, Francesco. So, first of all, I wish to thank once again Francesco Lauro for this perfect planning of the Shipping and the Law 8th edition. It's now 8 years that we meet, and I once again congratulate for the choice of the venue. Anytime we go in a different place, and we are really astonished. Myself, I'm Napolitan, I live in Napoli, and to see such a beautiful place, especially this theater, because I love the opera very much. So I've been many times, but among the public to watch at the opera or ballet. Now I'm on this stage and really I feel emotion. But I cannot sing, I cannot dance. What I can do is to introduce the technical session of Shipping and the Law together with my good friend Alberto Moroso. We are naval architects and actually we are wearing the hat, the hard helmet of our daily job. We are members of Atena, Associazione Tecnica Navale. Alberto is the national president as well, the chairman of the Napoli branch, while myself I'm his deputy in Napoli. And I also prepared a few slides to introduce the matter. If you can please start my presentation. Okay, here we are. Okay, better ships for a better world.
So you call them and I leave you the stage.
Thank you, Francesco. Better ships for a better world within Shipping and the Law for us means new rules, new regulations which are entering into force almost daily, either international, national, local. So no better occasion than this to introduce this matter.
have to say we had these latest 10 years in which regulations have come out really fast and fast, like never before in the history of shipping. So we are living a very, from a certain point of view, exciting period in which we are changing a lot in a very, very fast time.
Exactly. Not only rules change, but also technology. Technology which has to follow the rules in a way to improve ship safety, to improve the environment as well. So I have used a few quotes when talking about ships. I found this lovely sentence: anybody can pilot a ship when the sea is calm. Mr. Neville Singh Sidhu is a famous Indian actor anchorman. Another lovely sentence is: a ship in a port is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. That's Admiral of US Navy Grace Hopper. And last, not least, one of so many Murphy's Law: on a cruise ship, the one most important part you don't have in stock always breaks on a Friday evening, just when you left harbor, and next time you'll be in harbor is Sunday or Christmas Eve. This is from Captain Edward Murphy, and I think today we have some application of this law.
It always happens, this. And even today, one of the speakers could not join us for a last-minute problem. So Lorenzo Matacena, unluckily, will be not with us today.
Then let me go on with one sentence I love very much about Napoli. It's from John Turturro, a famous actor and movie director. In one of his movies, Passione, he starts with this sentence: there are places where you go to once and that's enough. And then there is Napoli. Napoli is a beautiful city. You can see from this bird view photo. And the harbor of Napoli is located exactly inside the city, downtown. Every day here in front of this theater, we can see so many cruise passenger ships and so many ro-ro packs as well. Italy has got nearly 8,000 kilometers of coastline, so you can imagine how many ro-ro passenger ships are trading in the coast. But ro-ro passenger ships are maybe the most difficult ships to be designed to follow the rules and regulations.
Absolutely. Ro-ro pack ships have the problems of every cargo ship, and then join with the problems of the passenger ships, which are really tough, I have to say. So they're probably the most difficult kind of ships to deal with.
And then adding also the short time they're staying in port for unloading or loading cargo, and then unfortunately things happen. So rules are also changing, improving in order to avoid those kind of things. And then also in the previous session, there have been a few words about cybersecurity and digitalization. Nowadays, everything we see from our mobile phone, from this remote control, is digital. So there is also an idea, which is for the moment just a rendering, like in this design of a remote controlled vessel. Sooner or later, I'm sure we will come also to this.
In Norway, they are building probably the first unmanned ship. There is a lot to say about this, because there are people who agree, people who disagree on this kind of view. The fact is that the future is going in that direction.
So then, talking about the environment, the city of Naples is also suffering for emission from factories, from cars, and someone is also pointing the finger against ships from some time. So what we do? Shall we go back on sailing ships? There are ideas, there are ships under design, which could maybe use again wind propulsion. There is still some time ahead, and there are different solutions available right today. And then talking about engines, in these beautiful photos, I've been able to find some very old examples of steam reciprocating engine and steam boilers, water tube type, as well. This is the casing of a steam turbine.
But the technology of diesel engines nowadays is extremely high. Do you think that the big two-stroke diesel engines for marine applications are probably the most efficient machines that we have in the world? They have an efficiency of about 55%, which is not reached by any other kind of engine in the world. Although we are going on and on with pollution problems, with trying to get other efficiency, we never stop, absolutely, we can't.
And moreover, all marine engines are now electronic controlled. And this is one of the engines that Alberto was saying before. It's a very powerful engine built in Korea for a container carrier. And ships, again, are under continuous, are the target for improvement of regulations, especially regarding emissions. We have seen regulation limiting the NOx emission, the nitrogen oxide, which started in the year 2000. Engine design was such to lower the emission of NOx. And then also the emission of SOx, which comes with the fuel, has been limited during the years, has now been decreased starting from 5% up to now 0.1% in ports and in certain areas. And last but not least, the attention is now posed to greenhouse gases. The most important one is the CO2, carbon dioxide, which is part of the emission. Any combustion, even when lighting up a cigarette, we are producing CO2. And regulation which entered into force this year is the MRV, Monitoring, Reporting and Verification of CO2 emission from ships, only for ships flying European flag or calling European ports.
I just would like to remind that anyhow, the ships pollute no more than 4% of all the pollution in the world, transporting more or less 90% of the goods we have in the world. So, I mean...
Yes, but as I said, that 4% of the total emission worldwide is strongly covered by rules that, again, are changing, improving, are having modifications also on a daily basis, more or less. Now, we come to introduce our speakers, which I invite to join us on the stage. We have first Diego Sabbatini from Tefin.
Lorenzo Matacena is not joining us.
This is the victim of the Murphy's Law, as we said, the last-minute problem, so he apologized for not being with us. Matteo Natali from Wärtsilä. Franco Porcellacchia representing Ecospray Technologies. And Volkmar Galke from Winterthur Diesel Gas Engines. Please, everyone here. And then? After that, we will have a round table, so we will allow the 4 speakers to deliver their speeches. After the round table, which will be chaired by Michele Francioni, CEO of RINA Services, who is also assisted by Valeria Novella, past president of the Young Italian Shipowners Association. And another victim of Captain Murphy is John Big, who's not with us, unfortunately. He was also supposed to be with us as a panelist. Again, okay. So, thanks to all the participants, thanks to all of you for listening to us. And let's go ahead with the first speech.
The first speech by Diego Sabbatini from Tefin, please.
Verde, avanti, rosso indietro, puntatore.
Good morning to everybody. My name is Diego Sabbatini, member of Tefin Board of Directors, even delegated to purchasing and logistic department of the entire group due to my previous experience. First of all, I would like, of course, to thank Mr. Lauro on name and on behalf also of Meniere's family for this great opportunity is giving us to be here with all of you at this 8th edition of Shipping and the Law in this superb, I would say, location as well. During these days, we have also had the chance to interfaces with the main actors and players of the international shipping business and share with all of you our respective point of views and ideas and competencies as well. You will also kindly allow me to present my company and introduce Tefin. It's a shipping company, service company. We have been operating for more than 20 years, assisting various types of vessels and servicing them worldwide with a wide range of activities on board, not limited only to the electric and electronic systems and equipment, but also related to complete retrofitting jobs as the strengthening of the 4 MSC vessels at Fincantieri shipyard, together with the upgrade of automation systems, even deploying new technologies able to provide safety on one side and even reduce the environmental impact on board the vessels. But now let's talk about our, even if coincides today, intervention. The main causes of ro-ro fire on board the ro-ro ships. Hurry up, guys, please, hurry up. We have the fire at no more than 5 meters. Well, this is part of the Mayday message pronounced by master of the vessel Norman Atlantic, which still echo in the channel of Otranto and sounds much more as a prayer and an help supplication for him and all crew members. According to the data shown and mentioning in the following slides, taken by the recent IMSA publication, it has been observed that despite there has been an increasing and improved technologically advanced systems installed on board the ships, this phenomenon didn't absolutely slow down. On the contrary, as you can see, there has been quite a sensible increasing of the fire accident during the latest 5 years. The EMSA study, going much further in detail, has also determined and ascertained the main causes of the fire accident on board the ro-ro ships. As you will clearly see in the diagram, and also contrarily to what we could even think or imagine, the main responsibility of the fire events isn't to be ascribed to the ship equipment, which is less than 6%, or to the age of the vessel. But mainly, the highest percentage has to be done and seen in the ship cargo. But we would also like to invite you to note about the high percentage of cargo unit, reefers, and mainly electrical breakdowns, where we have, of course, focused our own attention. Another important aspect and factor to be considered is to be taken in its proper consideration and to be analyzed as well is the presence or not of the ventilation systems, and also the possibility we have to control and check the same. Well, it is clearly, you can easily realize that there is no ventilation at all, or you have the chance to control and manage the same. The system and the power of the fire event can be managed and controlled within a very short time. Whereas instead, where there is no way to control the ventilation, the fire event can be really, really disastrous and unstoppable with unforeseen consequences and tragic sometimes as well. Consequences which can be summarized as follows. Mainly pollution, means fuel oil spilling. As you know, crude oil lasts 4 years at sea, and therefore it's extremely toxic and very tough and complicated to be cleaned up. Then you have a commercial consequences because the owner won't have the availability of the vessel, and therefore he will have, of course, to hire a new one without counting the off-hire period. Penal liabilities due to the potential loss of human lives, and last but not least, insurance with an increasing of the yearly premium. So, statistics on this issue present a compelling and very urgent need to consider whether any practicable solution can be found in order to reduce the risk posed by the fire accidents. All above aspects convinced more and more all of us at Tefin that it was fundamentally and important to design and develop a new and innovative product based mainly on the prevention, So Tefin is proud to introduce our new R3S, which is an acronym of Refer Socket Survey System, a smart reverse electrical monitoring device already also certified by RINA. Would you ever put your own health in the hands of a doctor who just knows one single remedy? I mean, it doesn't matter whether you are a male or a female, your illness, your own symptoms, or your general condition. He will always and anyhow prescribe you to take 1 aspirin 3 times per day. Would you ever trust such a doctor? I don't absolutely think so. Well, the actual available systems are exactly as this doctor. They just offer one type and one grade of protection for whatever problems or all types of reefers, independently whether they are big, they are small, or if from their technical characteristics. R3S, instead, is a different doctor because he knows very well his patients, realizes that they are not the same among the others, and apply a customized remedy for each of them. As a matter of fact, in fact, our system is able to register the electrical parameters of each reefer and set up a customized remedy and electrical monitoring based on the previously collected and analyzed data. So, as every good doctor should do, R3S makes prevention. It doesn't activate when the illness comes out, but early in advance. I mean, when the illness, when one of its life parameter changes, it immediately stops the electrical power and launches relative alarm before becoming a little bit and something more dangerous. This is the winning answer that Tefin is giving to this great problem. Monitoring is prevention, prevention is safety, and safety is R3S. You will find more information at the exit of this conference hall. Thanks again and very much for your kind attention, and we'll be more than delighted in giving you the best solutions for your needs.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Diego. I wish to thank you very much indeed, as your presentation has been very clear, and this system is something new, innovative,
yes,
never
definitely.
seen before. But just thinking of what happens in our daily life, if in our home we are using any electrical apparatus for a long time, such as a hairdryer or a vacuum cleaner, then you start smelling a melt of burnt, or the socket becomes soft and start melting. In a bigger scale, when a high electric power is involved, in case of a reefer ship, then it leads to fire. And that's an excellent way to prevent. What do you think, Alberto?
Should try. It's very interesting. There are a lot of aspects to be investigated,
of course.
Obviously. I was thinking that when I feel sick, I really take 3 aspirins per day, but I'm not a doctor, indeed.
Okay, now let's give to Matteo Natali, yes, the opportunity to deliver his speech. Matteo graduated naval architect in Trieste, has been first working in Wärtsilä ships design in Norway, has been involved in several activities, and also joined the Wärtsilä engine sales department in Trieste, where he has been responsible for gas carriers, ferries, ro-ros. So he has got a large experience in so many sectors and aspects of the ships and shippings. And this speech will be about digitalization. Please, Matteo, thank you.
Thank you. Do I need to use this microphone here, or?
As you're saying.
As I say. Okay. Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to speak about digital. It's a very hot topic lately in the shipping industry. You know, you read articles basically every day about digital. You hear that data is the new oil. Each and every element suddenly became smart. And actually the word digital is in every company strategy in our sector. So I would like to give you our perspective on the digital transformation and what it means for the shipping industry. A definition I really like is that digital is about convergence of rapidly growing technologies into new and disruptive business models. It sounds a little bit philosophic, but I would like to make an example. Let's take ship remote control. It sounds like fiction, but it's not as hard as it seems. It's just about connecting the dots. So we use the existing elements we have on board the ship, we combine them with enhanced connectivity, with a sufficient level of cybersecurity, and with a system made of sensors that can give us the information about the ship, about what the ship is doing. So this is digital. It's using the technology we have and combine it into new business models. But what is the reason of this digital transformation? I talk for my company. We are a fairly big company, we have good revenues, we have a really strong profitability. Why should we do it? Can't we just keep selling product and making maintenance on them? We have identified actually different reasons why we should make this transformation. The first one is, of course, related to the maturity of the existing technology. You know, the elements that are on board the ship have been on board the ships for quite many years and have been developed for quite many years. Now to squeeze out, I don't know, 1% efficiency gain in a 4-stroke engine is really hard and requires a huge level of investment. As it was said during the introduction, marine engines reach a level of efficiency that is great, that is amazing. And I don't know how far we will go with, let's say, traditional product improvement. The second reason is actually related to the new opportunities that are given by the lowering cost of big data analytics, Internet of Things, connectivity, sensors, and so on. And this opens up a really huge range of new opportunities. So, you know, we didn't want to miss this train, and here's the choice, it's about disrupt or being disrupted. And of course, we chose to disrupt. So, okay, it works. The main theme along this digital transformation is the smart vessel, which is a vessel that is able to leverage data and which is connected to its surrounding environment and operates according to the boundary condition to the surrounding environment. It's ultimately a vessel that is safer, more reliable, more efficient, and more sustainable. And here it's very important to highlight that a smart vessel is not an autonomous vessel. Of course, the final target is to provide the operator with a technology sufficient to allow the vessel to operate in an autonomous way. But the choice regarding the level of autonomy that will be given to the vessel and will be held by the operator will be done by the ship owner. So we will not sell drones, we will sell vessels that will be able, if the operator wants, to give a certain level of autonomy. And this level of autonomy is decided by the operator. One main and very important change brought by the digital transformation is related to the sales approach. We used to sell products, now we sell outcome. And this is really a major shift. What does it mean? The PBL agreement is a great example of this. PBL means performance-based logistics. And it's an agreement we have signed with Carnival and that Mr. Morselli mentioned before this session. So basically, we promised a certain performance. If we outperform, we share the extra revenues. If we underperform, we share the extra cost. I mean, as simple as that. Actually, it's not simple. It's a very complicated contract. But this is what it is about. And of course, this was not possible until a few years ago, because in order to realize that, we need to know exactly what is happening in the engine room. And we need to be able to optimize the equipment so as to improve the operation of the ship. And there's another example I wanted to bring here about outcome sales, which is Wärtsilä High. Wärtsilä High is the first integrated hybrid power module that was launched this May at North Shipping. It was actually sold, the first version was sold to Rimorchiatori Riuniti. And this is a power box. And the operator does not have to care about what's inside this power box. You know, whether there's a 26 engine, a 32 engine, a 46 engine, or a 500 kilowatt battery, or a 1 megawatt hour battery. This is not relevant. What the customer has to care about is the performance he will get from this box. And again, this is a major step change from a technology provider perspective. Digital also means creating value-adding insights out of raw data. And this is what we are doing with, thanks to the new acquired company, Anyram. So what they do, I don't know if you're familiar with this company, but what they do is place a number of sensors on board the ship, collect all the data coming from the sensors, collect all the data coming from the navigational system, connecting this data with weather forecast and, you know, all the other with all the other information that we have, and provide periodical reports that tell the operator how to optimize their ships. You know, it's just about data collection, data processing, and, you know, insights delivery. And they've shown that the improvement they can achieve when it comes to vessel efficiency is quite huge. And then going back to what I started the presentation with, remote control. It sounds fiction, as I said before, but it's not. A couple of weeks ago, we have successfully tested the first remotely controlled OSV. So the ship was sailing out of Aberdeen, and it was controlled from our offices in San Diego. And this is quite an amazing achievement for the whole shipping industry, I would say. Another thing that can be related to digital is, of course, the automated mooring combined with induction charging. And this is also something we have developed with our customers. So the first installation we have is in Norway with Norled. It is a very sustainable solution because it's a very fast way to charge an electric ferry, so a zero-emission ferry. And it's a very safe solution because it eliminates the risk of accidents due to the human factor during mooring, which is a very delicate operation. And another thing that is really worth mentioning is augmented reality. This looks like Minority Report or these futuristic movies you've seen, but it's something we are using today. So it's not something we are developing and we will launch in a few years. No, it's something we use today. So the operator on board the ship has these AR glasses, and he does the maintenance guided by a guy sitting, you know, on the other side of the world from his office. And this guy sitting in the office can see whatever the operator sees and can add information to his field of vision. And this can also bring a drastic improvement on the way we service ships. And the last piece, actually, we've added to our smart vessel puzzle is Guidance Marine. This is a company that was acquired this week. And they are a leading company in situational awareness, which means the identification of possible obstacles around the ship and a system to avoid collision. And this is, of course, is a very important brick for the smart vessel picture. But there's a lot more going on. I just made a few examples. So we have the factory 4.0. We have blockchain to enable smart contract and fight counterfeiting. We have the digital twin. We are developing machine learning. We are investigating additive manufacturing. So we are really working on several different fields. And it's not just about, you know, concept developments. It's something we are developing with the customers and that we would like to see, you know, working, operating, generating money within, you know, the forthcoming months. So digital is not, you know, a futuristic dream. It's not an idea. It's a series of actions that are already in place. And the final vision actually goes well beyond the ship. Our final vision is a smart, connected ecosystem. So the ships communicating among each other, communicating with the port, communicating with the LNG terminal, with the bunkering facility, with, you know, everything, every element in the value chain. And this is also a direction we are currently pursuing. We are cooperating with some ports to develop this data exchange interface between vessel and port, so that the port can know exactly the time of arrival of the vessel, and the vessel can, you know, reserve the slot, can book the port services, and so on. And I already ran out of time, so I apologize for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Matteo, that your speech has been so interesting and I think well appreciated by everybody. You gave a great look at the present, but an outlook to the future, or to not too distant future, because so many things you said now are almost reality and will be developed on a wide scale very soon. What do you think?
Well, I think looking at Matteo's presentation, I think the future is now.
Yeah,
what
correct.
will be really in the future now? What we will have in the future?
What we will have in the future? We will have zero-emission ship and a totally sustainable shipping environment, and actually safe ship, actually, and environmental friendly ships. This is what I hope to see.
Well,
thank you. Thank you very much indeed.
thanks a lot.
So now let's give room to our friend Franco Porcellacchia. He's not only friend of shipping and the law, I think he's a few times already that you've been here with us, but you are a great friend of the shipping world as well. With your large experience, you gained either in RINA and after that in the Carnival shipping. We've seen you many times on TV during the recovery operation of the wreck of the Costa Concordia, for which I'm proud to say that Franco has been awarded the Excellence of the Naval Architect of the Year 2016. So thank you, Franco, for being with us, and please.
Thank you, Umberto. Thank you, Alberto, for inviting me and for the nice words. It will be a short presentation. I'm here today as the Executive Director of Ecospray. Although I am a Carnival employee, I have been assigned recently the job of being in charge of the marine business of Ecospray, and I'm here to represent Ecospray today. So Ecospray is a company that is specialized in smoke emission treatment. And you see here the NOx, DSOx, soot and particulate matter removal is the core business. In the last few years, the SOx activity became prominent. And I can say that Ecospray these days is one of the, let's say, 20 most significant builder of scrubbers in the world, and perhaps among the 3 most important and with the biggest portfolio of ship when it comes to scrubbers. I gave on this slide indication of what our business is like. You see is mainly on passenger vessel and cruise vessel, because I have to say that Ecospray is a part of the Carnival Group, and in the Carnival strategy of meeting the regulation concerning emission, Carnival has relied entirely and totally on the technology of Ecospray. So these are the regulation, perhaps you know that, but it is worth describing what it is nowadays. On the 2015, in certain area of the world that are called emission-controlled area, the requirement is for the ship to use sulfur a fuel with a sulfur limit of 0.1%. In 2016 came into force the regulation that controlled the emission of NOx. This is not retroactive for existing ships. It is only for new building whose killing is again in the beginning, was in the beginning of 2016. So it applies only to a limited number of ships, although certain operator like Carnival has already implemented in certain cases this technology in order to be compliant with the rules. The most significant change in the rules, everybody knows that by now, is that from the 1st of January 2020, all over the world, it will be required to use a fuel that has a content of sulfur less than 0.5%, being the limit established in 2015 existing. So basically there are two areas in the world. One is what was the previous ICA, where the limit is 0.1, and the other one is the rest of the world, where 0.5 percentage of sulfur is the maximum allowed content. So this means that from 2020 it won't be possible anymore to use heavy fuel oil. Let me go back and describe what the situation is today. I mentioned the ECA area that came into force in 2015, and the ECA area are those that are indicated in this chart in the green color with the number 1, 2, 3, 4. It is the most significant area are the coast around the United States and the Baltic and Northern Sea. I said that from 2020 it won't be possible to use anymore the heavy fuel oil, but I have to specify that according to MARPO regulation, you can still use heavy fuel oil provided that you have a system that is certified to be equivalent, which means that if you have a scrubber, the scrubber is a system that reduces the emission to the atmosphere in terms of FOX equal to what would be the emission of a ship using MGO. Only a few words without boring anybody with technical aspect, but this is a very simple system. There are more complicated systems and scrubber system, I mean. This is the most efficient to our point of view, I mean Carnival in this case. We decided that we want to follow this technology, and this is what is called the open loop system. Our ships, Carnival ships, are all equipped with this system, which you see is very simple. Number 3 is the tower, where the cleaning of the exhaust gases is taking place. This tower is located on the exhaust of each single engine. I have to specify our engine, our ships are by vast majority diesel electric, so this engine represented here is a diesel generator, one of the 4, 5, or 6 that are on our ships. Each of those diesel generator engine has a scrubber indicated with 3, which replaces the silencer. So there is no additional requirement for space to fit the scrubber when it comes to the tower. Then there are other components, which are a seawater pump, number 1, a filter, of course. The seawater pump is taking the water to the tower to have the cleaning effect. And then there is what I indicated in this very simple schematic drawing, number 4, which is a mixer, where again the water, wash water coming from the tower before going overboard is mixed with additional seawater in order to comply with the regulation that prescribe a certain amount, a certain value of the pH in the discharge. So this is the system that we installed on our ship. which Ecospray designed and installed on Carnival ship. This type of activities of Ecospray is not only for Carnival, because these days there are more and more ship operators that are interested. As a matter of fact, we have plenty of customers as Ecospray, and there are more to come, I'm pretty sure, because the interest for this type of technology is very, very high. I wanted in this chart to give you an idea of what was the investment, what is the investment of Carnival. The initial idea was an investment in the range of $500 million. So far, the investment is already in the range of 400 million, and there are more installation to be done. At the beginning, we were kind of prudent. We didn't know much about this technology. We wanted to experiment. Right now, we are very, very satisfied of the level of reliability this system has reached. And so we believe that before 2020 and beyond, investment on this type of technology will take place more and more. 66 ships so far. Carnival fleet is made of 103 ships these days, today, all over the world. And we have also 18 ships under construction. 11 of them will be fitted with scrubber. 7 of them will be propelled with LNG, which we believe is an innovative technology, especially in the cruise sector. Just to complete my presentation, I want to give you a feeling of what it means for an operator like us, but I guess like everybody else. Of course, with the right distinction, depending on the dimension of ships and composition of the fleet. But for us, again, just as an example, let's take a cruise ship, which is a typical of our fleet, is over 100,000 tons, 4,000 passengers, diesel-electric propulsion, 6 diesel generator, 12 megawatt each. This is the power installed. The operating profile average, again, is 16 hours at sea, 8 hours in port. When we are at sea, let's consider 20 knots. And let's consider that 3 out of the 6 diesel generators are needed to make the speed. 8 hours of the daily operating profile are considered in port, where the needed power is much less, as you can imagine. Let's suppose that one diesel generator at 60% of the load is enough to make up for the request. One day of this ship operated under this profile using the scrubber and thus being allowed to burn heavy fuel oil means a saving in the range of $25,000 per day. This is, I believe that everybody understands that this number justifies the investment that we are doing, and we will do more and more. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Franco. I think that everybody has fully understood your presentation, although being technical, but it's been very clear. And especially the last slide, you see the saving we can have with a scrubber solution. I want just to add one small thing that maybe not everybody knows, that the small percentage of sulfur contained in the bunker is beneficial to the engine, especially big two-stroke engines. That small quantity of sulfur is creating a sort of soft layer between piston and liner that is reducing friction. But then, of course, this sulfur is going into the environment as a SOx. And therefore, abatement must be done through scrubber in case.
There is, I have to say, I would like to add, there is a big discussion now in the shipping world on the right choices to be done within 2020 for which system to be, which is the best system to be used on board of the ships to reduce the sulfur contents in the emissions. And there is a big question mark on the availability of fuels with these sulfur contents and on the cost of these fuels. So I mean, but this is probably we will need a conference on this.
Yeah,
because it's
sure.
it's a huge topic. It's a huge problem that some of the shipping companies are now solving in this way. Yes. And the nice thing is to see how Carnival is betting on the scrubber solution on one side and on the LNG solution on the other side. It's really challenging. So, last speech is Volkmar, Galke.
Last but not least, I would say.
And I have to say that Volkmar is an aeronautical engineer, but is an expert of engines which are very far away from aeronautical field. The big two-stroke diesel engines, first with the MAN diesel, and now with the Winterthur gas and diesel.
But moreover, he loves sailing. He's owning a sailing boat that he loves so much, isn't it, Volkmar?
Sorry, say that again?
You love sailing because you're also owner of a sailing ship, a sailing boat. Sorry.
Maybe in contradiction to diesel engines, sailing with wind power. Okay,
Great.
thank you very much. Francesco, fantastic event as always. But all the other guys said that already. It's difficult to top that for next time. Umberto and Alberto, thank you very much for this selection of presentations before mine. I'm really nice to see that Matteo prepared the ground on digitalization, and now from Ecospray also on scrubbers. I will also go into this a little bit, but not too deep in technical details, just to show you a little bit where we are and where we came from. Also, that was addressed this morning with these nice black and white pictures. Just to remind you where the diesel engine came from. It was an invention from Rudolf Diesel, 1893, 97, the first engine was built. And since then, we're running shipping on these diesel engines. And my personal opinion is that fossil fuel for ocean-going vessels, I think, will last very long. And I think for the next 30 years, there's no alternative to exchange it. Low-speed diesel engine, whatever fuel it takes, fossil fuel it takes, with another technology. Saying that, to remind you where we are, where we have been, where we're coming from, that was the early days where you had solid fuels or solid fuels for the combustion engine. And it was also there the question, what to do next? Where can I bunker? I don't have any liquid bunker stations there. And then it turned out like this up to today. And today we also get the same question. Yeah, now LNG is maybe the next one, but where to bunker? We're talking about bunker clubs of owners that they say maybe we can combine and maybe not going to Singapore, just divert a little bit because Singapore is too expensive for bunkering LNG. So I think that's where we are today with the technology, and looking into this, I would just like to show what kind of possibilities we have then compared with the existing fuels. Now I'm coming to the scrubbers and to all the diesel or fuel switches. Umberto also nicely said that some sulfur in the fuel is also nice for low-speed engine, because it gives some lubrication on the piston. So you have the possibility to select, let's say, a fuel switch. So you have combined fuels on board, and then you have two fuel systems on board, and then you select the right fuel for the right application. Or you have, let's say, old-fashioned heavy fuel on board, and you just do after treatment as with scrubbers, and for the NOx emissions with catalysts. Or you go for gas, and then you just get rid of all this other stuff. Complex solutions, you see here. How to read the table. Yeah, there's even a pointer, perfect. This is SOX compliance, then you have NOx compliance on this side here. Here, the S.p.A operation compliance suggestions or solutions. Here, for global operations, we also heard that in S.p.A operations you have stricter rules than in global. Then also for NOx, and then the equipment which comes with it. Just picking the example, let's say, for example, here, HFO. Here in the S.p.A areas, you have to scrub to 0.1% sulfur. In global operation, you have to scrub to 0.5. In NICA areas, you have to have a SCR applied, and on global operation, there's no regulation. So what kind of equipment you need to apply with the SOX rules, you need a scrubber, and for the NOx rules, you have to apply an SCR. Taking another example, use LNG, and okay, LNG equipment is not so cheap and is also complex, which I will show you in the next slide, how that comes up with the other solutions. Saying that, I picked these three examples to give you a little bit of an economical view on this. I will compare these three possibilities. You have first the initial investment for LNG fuel ships, so we have to keep in mind it's about LNG fueled ships, no LNG carriers. For LNG carriers, it's a no-brainer to apply an LNG burning engine. Then the second one is diesel with the scrubber, with the SCR catalyst, sorry. And then the third one is the complex solution to have the diesel and the SCR plus the scrubber. You see the difference in investment cost. Of course, the LNG solution is quite an amount of investment you have to do up front. Then maybe that one is the most, let's say, attractive one for you now, very obvious here. And then this solution may be somehow in the middle. So now we see the first one, the diesel, low sulfur fuel and ultra low sulfur fuel, 0.5 sulfur with the 0.1 sulfur diesel switch compared with the LNG. There you see the payback periods compared to the LNG system. If you go 15% in emission controlled areas, 15, 50, and 85%, of course, the more you go in ECA areas, the better the payback period, and definitely also depending on the LNG price. Yesterday we had nice discussions also with the senior economist Leo Drollas, and he just gave me the latest numbers on LNG costs today. So it's $7 per MMBTU. Transferred that into dollars per tons, that's somehow $320 per ton LNG. So that means we are today in this range. So that means if you go 50% times in the ECA, which most likely is not the case, but then you end up with 3 years of payback on LNG solutions. So it's 15%, it's 4 years. So the more the LNG price drops, of course, it goes faster. It looks different on this comparison, of course, because it's HFO, depending also very, very strongly on the HFO price, which nobody can predict. Is it going higher? Is it going lower? Is capacity there? Will HFO remain? With the refineries are investing into the refinery process, I think they will invest into higher qualified fuels like naphtha, like diesel, instead of going and investing in the HFO refinery chain, but you never know. So you see here that payback times, of course, here is different. Just to give you an overview how that could work out. So it all depends on the LNG price. The last one is those two solutions compared without LNG. It's HFO. It's fuel switch from the different sulfur contents with the scrubber for the NOx emissions, and then compared to the one with HFO and the complex equipment scrubbers and SCR together. Quite fast payback period here, you see. 15% emission controlled areas operation, you have a payback time of 2.5 years with this solution. So really to think about what to apply. It's difficult. Now I don't want to be in the shoes of a ship owner at these days. you can just do wrong. Focusing on the LNG, of course, we are providing low pressure LNG engines. We have started this development not just recently, 14 years ago. We did some loops on high pressure and low pressure technology, but nowadays, if you see the industry standard on 4-stroke engines, as we had this nice example from Carnival, it's all, if they apply gas engines, and also MSC is applying gas engines. We saw this nice picture of the AIDA vessel. AIDA also has, I think, 2 new vessels with LNG. Carnival also is planning on bunker vessels for LNG. So you see, it's going in this direction, and all these vessels and all these engines, they have low pressure technology on board. I have to speed up a bit, I see. Leading to this XDF engine we have developed, and the beauty of this LNG is even with this complex system you have on board, that you really drop the emissions. So that's the beauty and the environmental benefits of having the low pressure dual fuel engine on board. So now I'm coming also to the part of digitization, a bit more practical and a bit more, let's say, onto the engine, not on the vessel. Of course, we're focusing on the main engine as engine designer. Transferring data from the engine to shore, I think that's not a magic thing. But we have then here a dashboard where you can see the engine operation and the chief on the engine, or if selected on shore, can have a look into the operational data of this engine. We have different tools how to do that, and also to, let's say, implement some intelligence. That's what you see here. That is really the intelligent part of it. Collecting data is one thing, but creating value out of it is the other. So the brain sits in the analyzing. Also then practical things is how to use this and give value to the ship owner is clear, definitely on maintenance. So you can see some maintenance support or problem support on board. You give indications with these Googles, as shown by Matteo. On some applications, I have that on my cell phone. That's why it is a screenshot there. You see what component is broken or what component needs service, and then you can immediately take action. And what I said is with the intelligence and also how to, let's say, use this as a tool for your daily life is that you show this, the key performance indexes of the engine. Also, I can show you that on my mobile device. This is also screenshots there. So you just see the actual behavior of the engine. You see alarms, you can see them. Then you see the cylinder behavior if we go really down into the engine. And also you can see the servo oil systems where maybe one component has an issue. So that's all there today. But now you can ask, what's the benefit? So the benefit you see here also, if we go and we control and we see and monitor the components, you also can extend the lifetime of the components. Or you can shift some services to later and also to extend the time between overhaul. That you see here. We have, you see here at 6,000 6 years, sorry, the 6 years is quite an important year on the component lifetime. If you be able to monitor this and say, okay, this component does have a longer time between overhaul, that cost will be shifted to later over there, and that's a period of 15 years I observed here, just as an example. And then at the end, what you have is that over this period of 15 years, you may have a reduction of 10% of your maintenance cost. It's just generic figures, but it gives an indication where that could be leading to a benefit to ship owners. TVO extension, condition-based maintenance, that's what I covered also there. The aim is, we don't have it so far, but the aim is that this solution is class certified so that all ship owners can rely on that, and if you have this maintenance plan on board, it's accepted by the class. Just summarizing, I think I said everything. Meets IMO Tier 2, the LNG vessel with this technology, the engine diagnostics, and this is just some examples how you compare low pressure via high pressure systems, but I wouldn't not go into details because we're running out of time and maybe I just bore you. So I was the last guy, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Volkmar. Also, your speak has been very interesting and very clear. So now I think it's time for Alberto and I to leave the stage and I wish to invite Valeria Novella and Michele Francioni to chair the subsequent roundtable.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Francisco.
Thank you
for
very
this
much.
Thank you to our speakers.
So well. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now Valeria and Michele are our bosses in bringing home this last session. We have got, I think, a ship owner surrounded by a lot of, even though Mr. Porcellacchia is in his double capacity of director of a very small ship owning company, and at the same time of Ecospray, which is maker of mainly of scrubbers and technical solution. I think probably the best person to try to make the balance is Michele, no? And your co-moderator, Mrs. Novella, I think she could ask to the roundtable's members what are the requirements from the side of the shipping industry. I don't know, it's just a suggestion. It's entirely in your very capable hands. Thank you, Michele and Valeria, for coordinating the last session. Thank you. Roundtable session.
For attending this roundtable, which probably today will conclude this successful conference held up in a location which will be unforgettable for all the attendants. Francesco, you have done something which is unique in Italy for sure, and most probably in the rest of the world. So thanks very much for that. Of course, together with me today, Valeria will help me to put some questions here to the speakers, which has put forward, in my opinion, quite a lot of difficult and very challenging topics. So Valeria is, as you all know, I don't think she needs my introduction, but she's an important ship owner, so she has also a personal interest in finding out quite a lot of things. I think before starting the questions to the speaker, I just would like to put some few things that I've heard and I pick up from the today's conference. First of all, obviously, there are quite a lot of new technologies going on and put available in the market. So shipping, despite the market scenario not extremely good, is going through a process of transformation. And this is, we have all remembered that. Together with the technology, there is also a very severe and a very, I'd say, extremely challenging regulatory framework, which is somehow setting up the rule and the path forward. I was extremely pleased yesterday to hear some of the comments done in the first session when the European Commission representative, Mr. Magaluzinski, was attending. European community and IMO are going together on the same path. I think this was a promise that was given today, was given yesterday on this floor. I think this is a very important statement, because I think shipping is a worldwide business, and the fact that the two are going together, are working on the same path, I think is a very important issue. Another very important, let's say, statement I heard yesterday, which I would like to put forward later on in the discussion, is that the decarbonization of shipping industry is not going to happen. Shipping will always be dependent on carbon fossil fuel. So that is something which some of the speakers here may have different opinion. I would like to hear really your point. But I think I said enough, and I don't want to, to spend too much time also, because I'm afraid, Francesco, what time we have to complete this one?
Forget
20
this.
minutes?
I think, no, well, it's 5 minutes to 1.
Okay.
I think we want to try to finish in 25, maximum 30.
Right.
So the people who go to Ischia could have brunch here, and at 2:30 we'll take a bus. Somebody pick up something at the hotel. 3:30 we sail from here to Ischia, but everything is very close. So I think we could have another hour or so after the round table to have brunch and a chat and a coffee.
So 25 minutes from now, good. Valeria, let's start squeezing these speakers a little and trying to find out something more inside.
Thank you, Francesco. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Michele. We have been together several times around the tables, speaking about LNG, around the RINA tables, ministerial tables, and so on. So it's always a pleasure to share with you these discussions. I think everything has been said already, and you have to go to a wonderful island, Ischia, and I have to try to catch the train. But few questions, and I'd like to speak deeply about the technological challenges with Mr. Porcellacchia. In your opinion, Mr. Porcellacchia, with regards to batteries, LNG as fuels, and scrubbers, which is the most effective choice to be compliant with the Global Sulphur Reduction 2020? Because we are October 2018, so 2020 is tomorrow. And which is the most effective choice, in your opinion, to be compliant? Perché c'è?
I don't think that battery will apply to cruise vessel. I know that for ferry operator are looking into it, which is a logical thing to do. It doesn't work for cruise vessel. For cruise, I would say that the future is LNG and scrubbers. I would say LNG, but it's not possible to go 100% with LNG for a cruise operator, because LNG to me is not something that you can retrofit. It is very complicated from the point of view of the spaces that need to be available, and it is also complex from the safety point of view. So what we have decided, after having considered at length the subject, is to retrofit the existing ships. Not every one of them. We selected, let's say, 75%.
75.
As I said, we have 103 ships in operation, and we selected those that are younger, that can support the investment and have a return of investment reasonable, and those that are diesel electric. Not all the ships are diesel electric. So having considered that universe of ships, we decided that we will go for the scrubber with them, being the LNG something that is not really possible to retrofit. As a matter of fact, we have a couple of ships which are very recent, which are the AIDA vessel built in Japan with RINA. And for those ships, we use LNG, but only in a limited situation, which means only when we are in port, because we cannot, the ships are not able to carry the LNG with them. Opposite is the situation for the new building. We have a new platform for that include 7 ships this day. There might be more in the future, we'll see. These 7 ships are equipped with LNG tanks inside the vessel, and those ships that will be delivered for Costa, AIDA, CCL, Canova UK, starting from 2018, they will be fully fueled by LNG.
And speaking about scrubbers, which is your opinion by the real operational point of view, from your experience, of course?
So the scrubber is a technology that we started with Ecospray in 2015, well in advance of the regulation. Let's say that the full utilization of the scrubber is coming in 2020, because as you have seen from my chart, the area where you have to use a scrubber is very limited. Yeah. There are ships that are during the summer in the Baltic Sea, so that is a very good opportunity for saving. But the rest of the fleet, the saving, the opportunity for using the scrubber will come in 2020. We started very early because we thought that the technology was promising, and we developed a product together with Ecospray that is becoming more and more reliable. And what is needed is a lot of experience. Not all the ships are the same. The system needed to be adjusted to the vessel. We are learning. We have learned a lot. We are learning every day.
So with the LNG fuel ships, and ship of such a technology like the one you're operating, how do you see the maintenance of the systems? I mean, and all the relevant related issues when, for example, the ship goes in a shipyard for repair, because this is something which probably is a new challenge for the industry. Are the present repair shipyards ready for taking such a type of ships or not?
This is a very good question. When we decided to order the ships with LNG, fueled by LNG was a real challenge. Not all the shipyards were ready to design ships of this type. Finally, we partnered with Meyer Werft, which was willing to study the project together with us and with Rina. I have to say proudly, you will be very happy. You are very happy because Rina is a big player in this project. So this shipyard took the challenge to design ships with LNG, but it doesn't come for free. It's not an investment that is that makes us making money, because installing LNG tanks in a ship like our ship means to sacrifice big space, which otherwise would be, as you can imagine, for cargo or passenger or public area or cabins. So it was a decision taken because we believe, Carnival management believe that a big company as we are should do something for the future. But there is a lot of uncertainty associated with it. First of all, if the LNG will be available everywhere. Okay, we have a contract with Shell, but we'll see what happens. We don't know what the cost is going to be, because considering the cost of LNG only by tons or BTU is not enough. The cost will be very much affected by the logistic. The shipyard, this is the question. The shipyard is a big issue also because, well, the ships are very big, are 180,000 tons, so they cannot, you cannot squeeze a ship like that everywhere. In Europe, for example, there are 3 yards, a couple from Fincantieri and one from Marseille shipyard. We are concentrated on those ships, especially the one in Marseille where we hold a percentage. So we are partly owner, and we are upgrading the shipyard to make sure that when we have the ship operational, in operation, we can take the vessel there safely, but it requires a lot of work and investment also for that. This is a good question.
Basically, the solution is you have your own shipyard, or you select your shipyard.
Basically, well, you see, it's still complex because sometimes everybody knows that you have to take a ship in dry dock. Sometimes you are not very close to the shipyard. So when it comes to routine dry dock, we can plan it, go to Marseille. But sometimes it is required to go somewhere else, and well, this is an open issue. Let's say we are working on that.
Thank you.
We as a bunkering company, we are waiting to be ready to serve your LNG fuel ships, hoping that it will be real. Thank you.
Glad to know.
Thank you very much, Franco. Going a little to Matteo instead. I mean, everybody, I think, was stunned by the presentation and by the new technology that a company like yours, which has been always in the front line of innovation in the shipping sector, is putting forward. And so the first question which comes to me is whether unmanned ship is an actual option for 2025, not only on a pilot project base, but is something which may be a reasonable solution and a possible solution on a standard routes. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think we will see pretty much what we're seeing today in the car industry. The technology will be there. I'm pretty sure about it. There are two big question marks. The first one is related to the mindset. Will ship owners trust technology enough to allow autonomous operations? And it's not an easy question. And the second question mark is related to regulations. And actually here the question bounces back to you. So, technology will be there, but it's not enough.
Okay, from shipowner's side, I tried to answer to your question. And okay, we can say we trust enough in this limitation. And given for sure this new era, the digitalization area, in your opinion, what kind of investment we should do from our side, considering that it's something really expensive? And it was interesting in your presentation, the matter about the costs and the performance of your system you showed. Can you explain something more about this? Well, you shared the performance of your of your format. If you perform, you can share the benefits. If there is the underperform, you pay the cost.
Correct. Actually, I don't think that the digital age, in a way, entails such huge investments as the gas age, for example, because it doesn't have such a massive impact on the ship design and on the infrastructure, at least when it comes to hardware infrastructure. What will really change is the attitude, is the mindset. So rather than investing, ship owners will have, in my opinion, to start approaching ships and especially data from the ships in a different way. They don't have to be jealous of their data, of their information. They need to be ready to share this information and understand that this kind of information can create value for them and for the whole environment where they operate. So that's the most important step to take, in my opinion. When it comes to the PBL contract, I think that's the way forward. As I said during my presentation, we are not focusing on selling products anymore because the customer doesn't want to buy products. They want to buy performance, They want to buy efficiency. They want to buy power, in a way. So the PBL is actually the first step in that direction. Of course, the vision is to sell the engine as a service, so to sell power to the ship owner and keep the engine and keep control of the engine ourselves. So we hopefully, in some years, we will be able to sell kilowatt hour rather than steel. Yeah. Well, this also depends a lot on the ship owner and on what they want. Exactly, on the level of cooperation that we can create. I think that the technology is also almost there. We are able to operate the engine from remotely, to stop the engine from remotely. So, yeah, it's just a matter of putting together all the parties.
Matteo, before putting a further question to you, which I think is another important issue, I would like to try to answer your first question, if the regulations are actually ready to take the challenge of the digitalization of ships. Well, I'm not an expert in this one, but what I tell you is that at every regulator at every level are working very hard on this. It's a matter of building up a knowledge, first of all. Regulators are, let's say, put it to a little traditional cluster of people, but there are several let's say, working groups at IMO, in the European community, as well as Ajax, for try to establish a minimum set of requirements in order to ensure that the operation of ship is safe, continue to be safe, using this technology. We all know that this is an irreversible process. we're not going to come back to, you know, mechanical things and the chief engineers full of, let's say, dirty stuff like that. It's not going to happen like that. We all know that the stakeholders require data to be made available to the community, and these are pretty much in our minds. So I think there is a lot of work going on. Obviously, the possibility to work with some of you, some of the frontline industry manufacturers and industry players is absolutely important, together with the ship owner as well. So be sure about that. There is a lot of work going on. But, I mean, trying to lead my company toward this path as a class society, I was reading quite a lot of, you know, newspaper, and sometimes, and recently, I got through into a digital twin concept, right? Which, first of all, I understood is a sort of virtual ship somehow in the cloud, and everybody, and a sort of repository of big data, and everybody can access and can use data. Is this the case? And if you perhaps you may say something more to the audience about these things, and which may be the advantages of having a system like that?
Okay, we're actually working on that. So we have an ongoing project with dedicated people, and you know, as a schedule. So it's work in progress. So, well, what is digital twin? It's a virtual replica of a physical asset or system or process, you know, or whatever. And digital twin allows us to, in a way, understand very well how this system is working, thanks to the real-time data we collect and the historical data we have collected before. Of course, this opens up a really wide range of opportunities, such as, for example, the performance monitoring of this piece of equipment, or the performance optimization. We can try the optimization on the digital twin, you know, see if it works, and then implement it there. A really high level of diagnostics, root cause analysis, and you know, it helps building up experience also for developing new concepts. So it's a really powerful tool, but it's not new. Actually, it was the digital twin concept. I think is something like 15-year-old, and it was pioneered in the aerospace industry. Now it's available to everyone because IoT is accessible, connectivity is accessible, big data is accessible. So it just became, yeah, exactly. It makes sense cost-wise. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. We hope really that ship owners will cooperate with you and with this new system for this challenge of tomorrow.
Yeah, may I add a small thing about it? The last slide I showed was about the smart connected ecosystem. Of course, to have a smart connected ecosystem, you have to make sure that everyone works together. You know, that people are not jealous of what they know and so on. And this week, actually, we've launched the DAC, the Digital Acceleration Center, which is a separate office in Helsinki, and actually another one will be open in Singapore at the end of this month, where we incubate new ideas together with customers or other players, like, for example, class society. So if you come there with a good idea you would like to develop, we give you the place, the resources, and our expertise to develop it together and to incubate it together. It lasts a few months. Then the outcome is the minimum viable product. It is how we call it. It's basically a concept with a user journey to understand if this, you know, idea can sell or not. And then, you know, we bring it to sales.
Yeah.
Of course, you're welcome.
Thank you for this. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Sabbatini, please, speaking about regulations and something like that. In your opinion, are the present regulations suitable for changes coming up in the industry sector? Which is your feeling?
It's a good question, very appropriate as well. As new technologies and therefore new products create also new problems, which have to be studied and analyzed, and therefore to create and set up common rules and regulations as well. The main authorities as IMO Order Classification Society and so on, are studying a lot in order to check and create this new problem, even showing a great sensibility and attention towards new rules, as for instance done by Dorina for our A3S system as well.
Diego, obviously I tend to agree with what you say, but normally regulators are always a sort of reacting, they have a sort of reacting attitude toward accident. So they put regulation when it basically is too late. This is what a normal accusation that is given to IMO and to all the class society and stuff like that. But you are working very much on prevention. Prevention of the accident. And I think the device that you were describing before is a pretty good example of this type of prevention. I mean, not simply having a reactive approach to damage, to risk, sorry, but is a preventive. And can you tell us which other sectors you are really trying to work to improve, let's say, to reduce the risk on board ship? Because this is, I think, it's a dedicated solution that you give to an event, when sort of a series of events would happen.
Let's say, as you will most likely remind by my presentation we had a few times ago, it's clear that the mostly exposed to the fire risk areas are the ones belonging to the ship's cargo. And therefore, without any doubt, we could say that, referring in particular to the ro-ro vessels that we have enforced before, all cargo areas means open, closing decks, car decks, and so on. Of course, we have also to mention the engine room, but the engine room is a particular void space where, anyhow, the constant maintenance and the bilge cleaning, together with the actual existing extinguishing systems, are able to reduce very much this risk.
Thank you very much, Diego. I think here we have a short time, so I have to go quick. Volkmar, I think it's time for you, a couple of questions to you, if you don't mind. Before we talk about digital twin, right? I just would like to have your opinion on that. Reality, theory, or what?
Yeah, okay. Yes, of course. It's also a definition of how you define digital twin. So I think you define digital twin different than we do. We, of course, focus on the engine, on the main engine. And for us, a digital twin is a customized digital twin, would put it this way. So if you, as a ship owner, you have one of our engines on board, we do definitely design the thermodynamic model, so the combustion model, so we know exactly what kind of combustion process is going on in the engine. That is designed and also simulated, which goes into the digital twin. That's the intelligence, the brain. Now you can say that theory, of course, but that's why I say digital twin from our point of view is both theory and practice, because we take that particular engine, which is manufactured at that particular engine maker, and we combine also the shop test data with this digital twin simulation. And then, not stopping there, we also go on board and do the sea trials, and then the sea trial results are also incorporated in that digital twin. That means that digital twin stays with you as a ship owner and goes the whole journey through the lifetime of the engine. That's where we compare performance of the engine towards that digital twin. Everybody's talking about it. I mean, we just heard you saying it's addressed by the class. Maybe going away from that industry, going to Industry 4.0 in production industry factories. I've seen that especially on Siemens factories. Also, TÜV in Germany is a classification society, is more on different stories, but they're also looking very, very strong into that issue. You also mentioned that. And of course it's important. It's very important. And also the technology has to be adopted to adopt this system. So you can either do it by encryption, that's I think everybody knows, but also the system itself. So we have maybe two different systems on board of the vessel. One is maybe controlling the engine, which is, if you do something there, then it's immediate. But transferring the data may come from a different system. So you transfer the data from that control system towards a communication system, and then from there you to put it on shore, wherever, and then you transfer data there. It doesn't affect. If there's an update, you transfer it first to the vessel, and then different system. So they're physically separated, so it cannot be affected, the engine directly, if somebody hacks it.
Last question to you, I think that's another very important topic. We spoke about smart vessels for a better future, but do smart vessels need also smarter crew? Because when we talk about all these technological developments, I mean, we are going really away from the traditional system and onboard systems. So what about the crew? I mean, what a shipowner should do? We should invest in a training of crew? How do we build up a competence for crewing, which at the end of the story they are still running a vessel somehow, until we make the unmanned ship that Matteo was foreseen before.
Maybe a provocative answer is if you have a smart vessel, autonomous vessel, no crew.
Thank you. That's fantastic.
No, of course. I just have been on Monday, Tuesday in Trieste because of our gas engine. We have a test cell in Trieste, Grande Motor Trieste, and we had customer event there. And the customer said, I'm passing the button from gas to liquid operation or from liquid to gas. They don't see a difference. So the engine runs as the engine runs, and it's a gas engine. So there's no, of course you need some training on some components, but the engine itself behaves like a normal two-stroke low-speed engine. I think what to focus on is all the gas handling system. That's maybe more challenging. And if you talk to, maybe you should have asked this question to LNG carrier, like Gaslock, something like this operator, they can tell immediately what kind of crew training is needed. On the other hand, we know that we are prepared, and also we're supplying that specialized training. We have engine simulator, or let's say engine room simulators established. One in China, one in Korea, and then the latest 3 weeks ago, we opened one in Europe, in Greece and Athens. And so you cannot only simulate the engine, but you can also simulate accidents, events. So we set the diesel generator on fire, and then you see what happens. Completely blackout. So you have to pump with the emergency generator and start that one, and then from that you start the diesel generator. It's all dark also in the room, so you have a torch to look at it. So you cannot simulate that with the real hardware. We can simulate that with our software solution. So that's far beyond. And also that will be certified by class, so that you can have certain steps accepted for the crew.
Should be safe then.
Of course.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Valeria.
So we have to, I think we have to close this interesting session. So thank you, everybody. You have deeply shown with your experience the problems related to the actual regulations, the actual regulation for our tomorrow, for the challenges of tomorrow. I think we have to try to give the next appointment for next year with Francesco, with a stronger collaboration and cooperation from shipowner's side to share the data. And after a trip to Helsinki, hoping that the regulation will be improved something more, and hoping that something more will be done from shipowner side and the actors and all the actors of the shipping industry, shipping company. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Valeria. Thank you, Michele. Thank you to all of you. And I think you have been bringing these proceedings to final destinations, final port for this year in an excellent way. We are almost in time, and you regained part of the time. So I think this is done. But I would like to make something new, since we are in this most beautiful theater. And I think everybody who is there, and here is part of this great effort which has been lasting for 8 years. And I would like to wish to close this year work and tell everybody to see each other next year by having all of you, exactly every delegate, every speakers of the other section on the stage to make a big chip picture. So I would like to ask the beautiful hostess to lead the way. It's a very dangerous step. So look after, I think, the insurances. I would like to have everybody on the stage to officially close together the proceedings this year and have a beautiful picture with all of us, and so we can admire this theater, and would be the picture also for the edition of next year. So I will await that everybody is here on the stage, and I will not declare this proceeding closed. So if we want to have some branch and probably somebody could help to bring the chairs a little bit on the back. All of you. The Queen Council. All of you should be on the stage, also the Studio Lauro staff, the theater director Manfredi Paterniti. I would like to thank him, as everybody of Studio Lauro, all the delegates. Our press office led by Francesco Tedesco and by Daniela was not here. No public, just a photographer, just the photographer. I also thank. And I'm not going to do this before everybody is on the stage. Manfredi, you should come too. I think all of you, Mr. Gauci from Malta. Who is left? My spectacles. Thank you. So thank you for participating to the 8th edition of Shipping and the Law, and I hope to see you all and many more at the 9th edition of Shipping and the Law in October 2018, and I want to have it again, this beautiful theater with 400 people listening from the beginning to the end. Thanks to everybody, to the sponsor, to the delegates, to the public, to the staff, to the journalists, to the speakers, to the panelists, and it's a great emotion. Thank you. Please, music, up. Go with the music.